This episode is brought to you by Google Health. Stop chasing someone else's definition of health. What matters is what's healthy for you. Google Health offers a new kind of coach built with Gemini for effortless tracking, sleep insights, and holistic coaching tailored to you. Visit googlestore.com to learn more and start a new relationship with your health. Requires Google account, Google Health app, internet, and Google Health premium subscription. Features subject to change. Availability and results vary. Not intended for medical purposes. Works independently of Gemini apps. Check responses for accuracy.
Mornings have a rhythm. You can hear it, feel it. And at Quaker, we fuel it. With 100% whole grain oats and a good source of fiber in every bowl, helping you turn that rhythm into your soundtrack for a great day. Fuel to start whatever's next. Quaker, official sponsor of FIFA World Cup 26.
Let's go!
Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and you're about to listen to a hypnosis session about hypervigilance in romantic relationships or personal relationships. It could involve friends as well. And it was created for a client that had been let down and disappointed by those closest to them. The people they should have been able to count on the most had let them down. And because of that, they spent a lot of their time trying to preempt and read the intentions and motives of other people, trying to find reassurance, figuring out who they could trust, who they couldn't trust, and also moves and counter moves. If they felt they were in a romantic relationship and the other person wasn't making too much effort, that would get them off in a spin, trying to figure out, do they care? Do they not care? What does this mean? And it was using a lot of emotional effort. Now, that came from a good place. It came from a place of protection. The hypervigilance was trying to anticipate future disappointment and then mitigate that risk before it happened. But in doing so, it was leading them to either, if we put things on a spectrum, either come across as needy or hostile because it felt like the power to influence their mood was outside of their control, which then forces that way of handling things. But consider that with someone that rather than anticipates disappointment from the behavior of others, feels completely secure and in control of their own choices, acknowledging that humans are humans. Some people will let you down, but if they do, that gives you irrefutable information about that particular individual. You can be discerning and choose not to spend any more time with them, and still be open-hearted and open-minded to the possibility of great connections. That might be romantic relationships, that could be friendships. You could be open to that and not assume that everyone is malicious or everyone has an agenda or everyone is going to betray in some way. But just know that that is a possibility, but discernment is better. And it comes down to this broad way of thinking, and that is that you can assume that if you think of, it's almost a way of thinking about it, but it's better to be an optimist and be wrong every now and then than a pessimist and be right all the time. And that's the essence to this hypnosis session. It uses nautical metaphors like the sea, the ocean, and a lighthouse. And that's because in the past, they would use consequences, either ejecting from a relationship or having some kind of a consequence through hostility. And that would be the equivalent of a boat smashing into the rocks. There was a consequence. But actually, an open-hearted, secure version of them doesn't tell them off if they've got it wrong. They actually show them the way to do things the way they would want to do things, knowing that there is no obligation on the other person to do that. There's a lot going on in this session, but I would say who benefits most is going to be An individual could be you that feels that they can't count on people, or that they are worried about being let down or disappointed by other people. If that feels like you're going to get more value from this session. Just be aware it was created for an individual, and on that basis, some of the suggestions would have been good for them and not quite good for you because it was created for them. So if you like the idea of a bespoke individual session with me, I would recommend clicking the link in the show notes so you can figure out how to work with me. And because you're listening to this on a podcast rather than just finding me online randomly, you will actually get a 50% discount on any consultation call. And by the way, the full cost of any consultation calls get deducted from any session. So not only do you get a discounted session, but you would get twice that amount back refunded from any sessions if you choose to work with me. So bear that in mind. Check out that link. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be distracted or disturbed. Relax and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in that resourceful feeling of calm and relaxation. That's it. And as you exhale, just feel a release of any tension, any stress, any worries. And just scan your body from the top of your head all the way down. Look for any clues of tension. And if you need to position your body in such a way where relaxation becomes effortless and inevitable, just do that now. That's it. Eyelids getting heavier and breathing starting to slow down. And when you breathe in deeper than you normally would. And as you exhale, consider it a release valve of any tension, any internal instability. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to imagine a gyroscope there at your very core. And you may have seen them before, one of those mechanical devices that can be perfectly still and stable. But if they're out of stability, they can be volatile and move and very unstable. And as you find the rhythm of your breathing, imagine that gyroscope right at your very core, rotating, spinning, and yet being perfectly stable. And maybe you could imagine this gyroscope made of brass, or steel, or even gold. Imagine it has power and energy, and yet stability. And as you hold that thought, the next inward breath becomes deeper, and the next outward breath, that exhale is longer. That's it. And maybe you find that the deeper you breathe, the more relaxed that you feel. And the more relaxed that you feel, the deeper you breathe. That's it. And with your eyes closed, really feel your focus and attention going inwards. Because right here, right now, there is nowhere to be vigilant. Nothing coming over the horizon that requires you to scan, to brace, Nothing to anticipate, nothing to prepare for. Just the sound of my voice, and underneath it, whatever your own breath is already doing. As your body relaxes, your imagination awakens. And I want you to imagine a lighthouse from a boat at night. And not because it's obviously a lighthouse, it just catches your attention from the corner of your awareness. That some part of you is already steady. I want you to get a sense that you feel stable on the boat, out on the waves, returning to shore. It almost doesn't matter how wavy the water is. You remain stable. That's it. And I wonder if you could imagine a path leading towards that shoreline. And very soon I will count down from 10 to 1. And I want you to imagine navigating your boat toward the shoreline. And the lighthouse helps to guide you on that correct path. With every number that descends, imagine the air changes, saltier, cooler, closer to the sound of where the waves meet the shore. 10, the noise of the day growing quieter. And then 9, your shoulders just easing and dropping. 8, and then 7, a rhythm starting to take over, the kind of rhythm that the oceans always had, in and out, the same as your own breath. 6, and then 5, halfway back on that direction towards the shoreline. Closer now. 4 and 3. That's it. Your boat perhaps approaches a dock. And then 2 and then 1. I want you to imagine disembarking the boat and still seeing the light from the lighthouse behind you, guiding boats just like yours all the way back to the shore. And I want you to imagine climbing the steps up the lighthouse so you can see the ocean, the waves, the shoreline. And just imagine that beam of light just going out for miles. And maybe in your life there was a time when every wave looked like a threat. Every swell, every dark patch of water could be interpreted as something that had to be something to anticipate, to worry, to prepare for. And that old habit was to watch constantly, to brace for a wave even before it arrived, to think every dark spot represented danger, even if there was nothing in the water. But the lighthouse, that can guide any boat that doesn't know these waters all the way back to somewhere safe. And if the shoreline represents connection, the dangerous rocks represent consequences. There's been consequences for you, and you've created consequences for others. I want you to get a sense that what if there was an old identity, an identity where the lighthouse was switched off and you were expecting the boats to know exactly how to get to you on the shoreline. Perhaps some of those boats wanted to, and some of those boats had no intention of doing that. I want you to get a sense that by switching off the lighthouse, connection was more difficult, but you were also more disappointed to know that it was difficult to be disappointed. The protection, the self-preservation decreased your ability for connection. You already know what it's like when something starts to build slowly, emotionally boiling over like a pot left on the heat. The water starting to shimmer, then move, then climb toward a boil over. And maybe that can take place quickly or slower. And you know the old pattern was to either throw water everywhere in a panic or to wait to get that reassurance that the water doesn't need to boil over at all. I want you to try and bring forth those sensations to make the gyroscope wobble, to make the legs feel unstable. Because what if that is a sign that your mind is receptive to new strategies, new changes, but even more powerful, a new identity? There was a version of you anticipating disappointment, and in doing so, increase the probability of the very disappointment you didn't want. The lighthouse didn't want the boats to crash into the rocks. But if the lighthouse is switched off, that's exactly what happens more often. I want you to get a sense that you can show the way. You can show someone how to love you the way you need to be loved. Not as a demand, not as a rule, just as a way But what if this requires a shift? Not to turn off the light as punishment, and not to demand they follow a path, but to create a pathway of possibility. It shows the way, it does not force the way. And what if your default position was to assume that people don't want to disappoint you? They don't want to let you down, while still holding onto the idea that it's always a possibility. What if suspicion became trust? What if closed-hearted became open-hearted? I want you to get a sense of what that would feel like. To be open. To be trusting. To feel calm. That's it. I want you to step into that new version of you waiting there in the lighthouse. It's always been waiting there. A version of you that is secure and open-hearted. The version of you that is immune to that anticipation of disappointment. This new identity realizes that disappointment is always a possibility. But that doesn't mean you have to anticipate it to the extent of neediness or hostility. You are the lighthouse, not the rocks. And I want you to notice when you step into this identity just how discerning it feels. It's coming from a place of choice, of standards, not rules and regulations, not coercion or correction. Because connection is a two-way street. I want you to get a feeling that you have needs, they have needs. You have things that triggered you. They have things that trigger them. And what if together you were figuring out how to meet their needs while they meet your needs? I want you to look out from the lighthouse and see the sunrise, no longer night. And I want you to get a sense of what the future looks like. When you look at the future, full of self-security, self-trust, a willingness to trust, and a full open heart. Yes, it increases vulnerability, but in doing so, it amplifies connection. And I want you to see that future version of you where things happen that would have triggered you in the past. And I want you to see yourself with that curious face, intrigue. Your default position is that there is no malice, no incompetence. It is just a very rational reason. But just because that's your default position doesn't mean it's always true. There will be moments where there is malicious intent, lack of consideration, in which case you will use discernment. I want you to see those futures. And I want you to see how you increase connection and still protect your boundary with no need for neediness and no need for hostility. You will be the lighthouse and show the way. You will find journeys on the wave together. But if those journeys aren't meant to go on the same direction, you can respect it. You could acknowledge it without any need to feel let down, disappointed. You're on your journey and they're on theirs. And I want you to get a sense that all you're really looking for are two boats happy to go in the same direction, not through force or obligation, but because where those boats are heading is desirable for both individuals. And as you get a sense of that future, I want you to feel that gyroscope and just how stable it feels at your very core. And each future moment that would have triggered the old hyper-vigilant version of you is now an opportunity to train that new identity. The secure, trusting, open-hearted version of you. It doesn't magically appear. When the things come that make you feel a certain way, these are the crossroads. You can reactivate the hyper-vigilant, insecure version of you, or you can wire in the open-hearted, trusting, secure, discerning version of you. And if your unconscious is willing to be open-minded to training your neurology to be this new identity, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to leave the lighthouse going down those spiral staircase. And when you get to the shore, it's now daytime. And I want you to get a sense that your future is very bright, full of optimism, hope, connection, love, and joy. And what if you needed that period in your life of hypervigilance just to ensure you're clear on your own needs? Not to be bound by it, but steered by it. And given the choice, you would prefer that future of trust, connection, an open-hearted, discerning future. And as you hold that thought, it's time to float back to the present. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Connect and calibrate into the here and the now. as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. If you've enjoyed this episode or got some value from it, please give it a 5-star rating and review. And maybe you know someone that would also benefit from this particular episode, in which case share the episode with them so they can also get the benefit too. And if you would like to listen to this episode where it's just the hypnosis, so no intro, no outro, no explanation, just the hypnosis and completely ad-free, there will be a link in the description where you can subscribe at a very low cost and only get access to the hypnosis. So if that's of interest, please check that out. Thank you again for being a regular listener of The Hypnotist, and I'll see you again soon for more.